Hello and welcome to the Canadian North. So we are in step 8 and this might be a good moment to talk about the conning tower. This is the step where we put together the conning tower and later on we're gonna install the roof, the overhanging roof over the conning tower. Let's put it this way. Both the conning tower and that overhanging roof played an exaggerated part in the fate of the battleship Tsesarevich and in the ultimate fate of the 1st Pacific Squadron in 1904. And we'll see how and why. But first, let's talk a bit about the conning towers. These conning towers, they serve as armored places, very well protected places, where the staff of the ship, the command staff, maybe the admiral or the captain and his staff, they go inside just before the battle and they try to do their best to steer the ship and to give instructions for the functioning of the system of the ship during the battle from that protected place. Other places, they could do that from the bridge, but usually the bridge was either open or unarmored, not very heavily armored anyway, so not much protection on the bridge. So they had to go into the conning towers. Now we can see here in the cruiser Olympia, which was launched about 1885 or something like this, or beginning of 1890, so very old cruiser, still in existence as a museum, the conning tower. The conning tower is placed at the forward part of the ship towards the bow, between the forward turret and the wheelhouse and the bridge. And inside the conning tower you would have everything needed to steer the ship. You can see the wheel, the engine telegraph, the communication pipes, and all kind of observation equipment, because the conning tower was having some openings, some observation slits, if you want. You can see them very well in the cruiser Atlanta, and the officers and the staff were looking out through these slits and try to observe as much as they could for the evolution of the battle and give orders accordingly. Now, one thing about these conning towers, the more they get armored, the more heavier they are, and they tend to be installed rather lower in the ship, as to not affect the buoyancy of the ship and the overall equilibrium, the overall balance of the ship. But installing them lower in the ship, that means the staff is not happy with that position. The staff would much prefer to stay on the bridge and to observe properly what's going on than to go in that armored box lower in the ship and have trouble observing what's around them. In time and with the years passing, the conning tower evolved very much. You can see here two model pictures from from HMS Hood, from the battle cruiser Hood, the conning tower being very visible between the second forward turret and the main bridge. It has on top a rangefinder. You can see the slits, the observation slits and whatnot. It was heavily armored. There is another picture which shows the real thing, not the model, and you can see the same idea. The next one is there are a couple of pictures from the Japanese battle cruiser, the Kirishima. The picture is taken in 1921, and you can see the conning tower being built around the triangular mast, the tripod mast, and also on the two of the arms of the two of the legs of the mast, they installed other observation posts, obviously heavily armored also. And the next picture is showing two of such observation posts with a lot of zoom. And next picture, the next picture, it's a schematic from a video game that shows the same ship, the superstructure of the ship, the IGN Kirishima, and it shows the exact location of the conning tower also. Later on, we can see some pictures from the American battleship Pennsylvania, the BB-38, which shows the conning tower surrounded by open platforms and by open bridges. And going to the very extreme, going to the very last class of battleships built by the Americans, by US Navy, you can see the conning tower from USS Iowa, the BB-61, which is a nucleus of an internal structure very heavily armored. The door that you can see in there weighs 3,800 pounds. 3,800 pounds, that door. And around the conning tower they built this bridge, multi-level bridge, which is not open anymore, is closed against the elements, but you can see the quantity of cables and instrumentations and junction boxes and controls and whatnot. Those are very important data and electric magistral for the ship, and I cannot imagine what would have happened if a heavy shell would have found its way into that maze of instruments and cables around the conning tower. Perhaps the conning tower wouldn't have been that much affected, but whatever was around it, I don't want to think about that. Now coming back with the building of the Tsesarevich, the way you see the ship now, with all this maze and whatever of lines and partial rigging, this is how you will keep seeing the ship until perhaps the last episodes, when I'm gonna start installing, finalizing the rigging, going on top of the masts or on the superstructure or something. So don't get don't despair. This is how it is. I think for those of us who watch my videos about the gunship Koreets, you could have seen the same episode after episode after episode. Those lines were hanging from the deck, waiting in the final episodes to be finally tensioned and stretched to the masts, to the yards. Another thing that I want to address now is the light. I know my lights are not perfect. When I use them like this moment, I see very well what I'm doing on the ship or with the component parts. But actually, for the purpose of filming, I should get rid of one of the light, and you would see better what happens, because this light is kinda on the side of the camera, and it shouldn't be here. But unfortunately, for now, this is the setup I have, and I'm not for now in the mood to change anything. But I will keep studying that, and we'll see where I'm going with the light and everything. As I said, this hobby for me is for for fun and a lot of relaxation, and it's pushed somehow between the professional and personal life. And there are so many things I don't know about lighting, about cameras, about I learn a lot, but I don't think I will be at the level of other very proficient and very good guys who work like this. I don't think so. Yes. Now these two pieces here, they are G2 and C34. When we put them together, they will be the conning tower. And then the picture in the manual shows this piece being like this, sitting like this, and we have to install many vertical stiffeners. And then this piece goes upside down on top of the conning tower, and those vertical stiffeners support this piece in relation to the conning tower. And this piece, this curved piece like this, is the circular or semicircular overhanging roof over the conning tower that I was talking about earlier in the episode. And we'll come back to this conning tower and to this overhanging roof. Now, the important thing here is, if this part is below, is like this, that means this whole surface, it's visible, it's on top. So this one, together with its vertical edges, will have to be painted, which I didn't do it. I didn't realize that. And once we do all this, we'll be able to put in place the conning tower and its roof and its platform, and then to install the forward secondary turrets. But it seems to me we have a long way until there. I have to decide for this one. I'm not sure yet if this bridge, because this surface now becomes a bridge, will be, I think it has to be linoleum color, and the edges will stay this color, the dark yellow or whatever, for the rest of the superstructure. And I'm very tempted to paint this one with the airbrush and do the edges by hand. But I know for sure I will touch, when I do that by hand, I will touch the bottom of the platform. So I don't know which one is better. I'll have to think about that.